Eagle 6 in the track.
Roger.
Over 1 bombs away. One's going to climb high above 20. You're south.
Eagle 6 radar contact. Eagle 6 is visual.
And it goes left.
Welcome back to the DCS SITREP, where we discuss and analyze news and information about DCS World, the world's premier combat flight simulator for the home PC. I'm your host, Prickly Hedgehog, and today, well, it's 2024 and a new year beckons for the DCS community, and once again, the ED team have produced one of their more eagerly awaited products, their annual teaser video for the current year and beyond. After a review of this year's video, I have to say there weren't too many surprises, mostly just confirmation of projects that have been in development for some time. The LA-7, for example, from Octopus G, and the Corsair F4U by Magnitude 3. If there were surprises for me, it was, of course, the MiG-29A Fulcrum and the Iraq map. So let's take a deeper dive and look at this week's video and the newsletter from ED for more things for us to digest about the information that we have available to us. Let's begin with the Fulcrum, which is probably one of the most exciting projects in an aircraft I've seen from Eagle Dynamics in quite a while, at least in the fixed wing department. This is not to take away anything from the fantastic work they've done on the Apache, the Hind, and the upgraded Black Shark 3 helicopters, or any of the stable of products they currently have in the hangars. But a full-fidelity, modern Red 4 aircraft has been long overdue in the game, and also one of the most oft-asked pieces of equipment for the community members. This is the team's first full-fidelity 4th-generation Russian fighter, they say, and as I said in a previous video, rumors and discussion about a MiG-29 had surfaced some years ago as a likely, at least highly possible, project, but information basically kind of petered out on that topic altogether. Today's video will no doubt be fantastic news for Red 4 fans, which not only provides a full fidelity aircraft, but most importantly, it's a 4th generation aircraft. It's a later model aircraft. Finally, there's something that you can throw at the numerous F-Series fighters that we have in the game on the blue side. The team advised that they have based their development aircraft on publicly available manuals, and that the DCS Fulcrum will be a 1980s era MiG-29. Which is not out of keeping with its opponents, and according to the newsletter, it will be a potent threat to other DCS aircraft with its array of radar and infrared guided missiles, its 30mm cannon, and unguided air-to-ground weapons. In the right hands, they say the MiG-29 can be a tough opponent with its helmet-mounted sight paired with high off-bore sight R-73 air-to-air missiles. That was a feature that did terrify Western forces when it was first announced, or discovered at least, being used by Russian pilots. Now, that's all we have from ED on the topic, and I had a sneaking suspicion that ED was up to something with the Fulcrum due to the number of recent screenshots that we've seen. This included things like shorts as well, and other hints bubbling about on their social media content over the last few months. I just had this feeling they were teasing something, and sure enough, here it is. Now, we'll have to wait for more information from the team on what was used as the basis for their model. They're saying here they have obviously publicly available manual information. Simon Pearson had indicated previously in that aforementioned interview that I referred to that an East German variant was the one that was going to be used as the base, but I suspect it'll be a hybrid of some kind, similar to what we've seen with the Eurofighter from True Grit and Heatblur. Regardless, and as I said, I think this is a critical module for the DCS community and will greatly embellish the playability of the game in terms of flexibility for role-playing. It can't be ignored also, and this was a surprise, I guess, a little bit, and something that was displayed in the video, and that was the role of Razbam's MiG-23, which will also bring to Red 4's full fidelity experiences as a supplement to the MiG-29. It's hugely promising. We don't know much more about that aircraft at this time, so whether it's fully flyable or what have you at the moment, but yeah, really promising action. And Ron Zambrano mentioned again today that, hey, here's a little surprise for you. And yes, it was that MiG-29. That MiG-23. So let me know what your thoughts are about the reveal of the MiG-29 in the comment section below, and whether you think that MiG-23 will also be a handy addition to the Red 4 stable. Well, let's turn to maps, and we knew already, thanks to Nick Gray, that the Afghanistan map was coming to the game, and in that interview from several weeks ago, he promised another map for the region was also being produced and would add to the region, but we'd need to wait for the 2024 and beyond video for more information. Well, we're in the dark no more, and the map is, of course, Iraq, which I think is an excellent choice in terms of stitching together and expanding on the theaters we currently have. No doubt this news will be great for people wanting to complain about yet another desert map, but I feel this is a little bit glib and somewhat of a simplistic assessment of regions in the area with an ancient history and more geographical diversity than just sand. The region will lend itself to campaigns around Desert Storm and Operation Iraqi Freedom and others besides. It will on that basis provide a wide array of options for the aircraft we currently have in game, as well as those coming to DCS, and there's a wealth of interviews from 10% True, Tales from the Cockpit, covering the era for those who aren't old enough to remember what all the fuss was about back then. Now, Edie advised that initially the maps will be centered on Baghdad, so to that end, the Desert Storm and Iraqi Freedom roles will perhaps come at a later stage, because they said that they will expand on the rest of the map to the south to encompass more accurately the aforementioned Desert Storm style scenarios. So there's going to be, I guess, an early access version with presumably some sort of expansion in later times. It'll be interesting to see just how big the map is. Now, as for Afghanistan, Edie didn't really showcase any of that. They described it as a region as more of a flashpoint spanning thousands of years. Afghanistan served as the backdrop to two of the largest conflicts in living memory, they say, more focused on insurgency warfare, or COIN, than a larger force-on-force battles. The Afghanistan map will bring a new form or mode of warfare to DCS battles, and our most popular aircraft like the Apache, the Hind, the A-10C, the Su-25, F-16C, F-18C will be great mission choices. I think the F-15E can fit in there as well. I think this is a fair assessment, also based on our current crop of aircraft, and will lend a lot of variety to our mission and campaign creators. Both of these maps are going to do that for us, which is exciting news. Now, once again, while large parts of Afghanistan are arid in nature, there are also highly fertile areas as well, and I think it's again a simplistic assessment to refer to the country as yet another desert map, which people did last time we talked about this map. We'll have to wait and see how much of the country is modeled in the map, but I hope it incorporates plenty of the mountainous regions, such as the Hindu Kush, which are breathtaking in their own right and are going to lend themselves to some interesting challenges, I think, for DCS players.
MiG-1, we're going to target OC in the north lane, 04025, 33,000 at MiG-1, cleared across the Venus. MiG-1.
So while we'll discuss breathtaking maps, Edie also confirmed that they have been working hard on the World War II version of the Marianas Islands map. Remember that this was always touted as an additional map option when it was first released, but it's been kept under wraps with speculation about the need for assets and its close link to the Corsair from Magnitude 3, with its swag of assets coming with that aircraft. And we saw plenty of images in the video to illustrate a lot of assets appear to be in development for this particular theater, either from in-house work by Edie or work already touted by Magnitude 3. Now, they're either in development or they have been produced. Edie revealed that they produced map content using technology from their latest terrain development kit, or TDK, in order to bring improved performance and realism to their maps, and reminded us that the World War II Marianas will be free. So, we can't complain too much. It is free. It's just not here yet. Now, they advise that painstaking work has gone on in researching the area, and it's going to be based on summer 1944 era specific information to generate authenticity. As mentioned, a large number of assets are needed to flesh out the Pacific theater of operations, which includes both ground, sea, and airborne assets. A lot of people rightly pointed out that they weren't interested in the Corsair from Magnitude 3 unless they could go and gun down some Japanese Zeros. Now, it's clear that Zeros alone won't be the icing on this massive theater cake, and there's a lot of cross-production, it seems, going on between Magnitude 3 and ED. There's a little bit of cross-modulation, I guess, is what I'm saying. So remember that Reflected Simulations is building all the training modules for the Corsair, and no doubt there'll be an accompanying campaign at some point as well. It'll be interesting to see if that is able to be developed with this map as well. Overall, though, very promising news. Now, as we know, EDU doesn't just have the map and AI units as irons in the fire. We were teased with news of the Hellcat last year, which is rightly considered one of the more successful fighters of that Pacific campaign. That project began in 2023, and ED explained that they have incorporated internal structure modeling to more accurately represent damage modeling for the aircraft. Right now, it appears that the flight model development is in full swing, and they're using first-hand knowledge of its handling and performance characteristics being garnered from the fighter collection, which is a thing that Nick Gray's involved with. They have a host or a swag of World War II aircraft or era aircraft. So we're very lucky, really, to have access to this kind of input. We've had that across a range of aircraft in DCS world, from people familiar with the airframes to lend authenticity to our flight experiences. It's this high fidelity experience which really separates the game, in my opinion, from any sim pretenders out there, and also adds to the challenge of learning to master a lot of aircraft in the game. The older aircraft won't wow you with their MFDs and layers of electronic setup pre-flight for the smart weapons and all the rest of it, but they will challenge your flying ability and attention to detail with regards to engine management, especially when you have fluids in a piston engine that need to be monitored and adjusted as you move around the sky and altitude, etc., etc. So it's a purist dream in many respects, and it's going to be great to see this aircraft in the game. Like the Corsair, it's highly popular.
MiG-4, target strikers 090, 45, 10,000, MiG-4.
The other big project for ED is the CH-47, which was teased last year. They explained that 2023 saw them creating the external model and the cargo and cockpit model, as well as systems and all-important flight model. The showcased images in the video looked very encouraging, and the team stated that we're looking at a mid-2000s version of a US Army CH-47. They went on to say that the work in play right now involves the finalization of the flight dynamics and flight control system, along with the MFD pages and subpages. So still quite a lot of work there, I suspect. Like other aircraft, they have fully modeled electrical, hydraulic, fuel, and other systems within the simulation as live systems to manage voltage, pressure flow rates, and temperatures, and all other operational systems. It will be interesting to see how it compares to what Heatblower is doing with the Phantom 2, which has what sounds like a pretty complex system for managing all of those aspects of an aircraft's functionality. It will be equipped with cargo and sling management capabilities, as well as defensive gun positions. It's not clear what kind of weapons we'll get, whether we'll see miniguns on the outside or on the gunner doors, but they did plug their advancement in DCS logistical systems. I suspect this may be referencing the dynamic campaign logistical work, which they've been working away at. Remember that WAGs 2 mentioned one area that they were working on was the capacity for carrying cargo, including people, which I think will be a feature they'll be vying to have ready on release. We'll have to see if my guess is right. And that technology is also working in partnership with the C-130 from Aircraft Simulations Company as well. So both those aircrafts need to have the capacity to carry cargo appropriately, including people. Now, as I've indicated, there's a tremendous amount of information to unpack in this newsletter and the video. It will be interesting to see what information we get from our third-party developers in terms of possible release dates. The way I see it, we have a packed pipeline of projects vying for injection into the game in 2024, presuming they're ready for release without any hiccups. The foremost crowd pleaser, and the one probably most people are anticipating for release first, is the Phantom 2 from Heatblower Simulations, which is already in pre-order and will likely be released by my guess in Q1. That's my guess for that. We have two World War II aircraft, at least, which appear to be close. The Corsair that I've been mentioning is going to be a multi-packet affair. If I'm reading the tea leaves correctly, that is, it was touted to be released with a variety of assets, such as the Essex-class aircraft carrier, as well as Japanese assets, which could include the AI version of Zero and numerous ground units, which will please fans of the aircraft. And in fact, as I've said before, a lot of people didn't want it released unless it had those things, but didn't. There was, gnashing of teeth. Some have speculated the aircraft would be released with the Marianas World War II map, but I suspect that ED may hold that parcel for its own Hellcat module with accompanying assets of their own. Either way, both aircraft will be welcome in the game, but I think also that the Hellcat is likely a little further out in development than the Corsair, again, if I'm reading the tea leaves correctly. Now, a more likely scheduled release, possibly ahead of the Hellcat, is the LA-7 from Octopus G, which we saw footage of in the promo, and on the team's own YouTube channel too. They've been working hard on that, and it looks pretty well advanced in development. So in reality, we're looking really at 3 solid World War II era planes with potential 2024 release dates. Then there's the map pipeline. So ED has Iraq and Afghanistan as mentioned, and it appears that they showcased Iraq. I didn't see any specific references to Afghanistan, but correct me if I'm wrong. There may have been images in there, but they weren't highlighted as Iraq was. Now, another map in the works is the Kola Peninsula. I'm under an NDA with Orbix, and I can't disclose any details about the map's progress. I will say I think you'll enjoy that one, and it will offer some pretty familiar experiences for EF2000 players, ones that will maybe remind you of that map, albeit with way more fidelity, obviously, and that game than that game was ever able to offer. So stay tuned more on that. I don't want to get in trouble and say I thought I saw some stuff in the promo there, because there are some similarities in terms of the geography with the South Atlantic map, which has undergone quite a few improvements of late, and I need to do a separate video on that to showcase some of that, because I love that map, and it gets a lot of flack. But there's a lot of promise down there in the South Atlantic that hasn't truly been explored yet, and that disappoints me. Nonetheless, we'll come back to that as a separate topic. Now, without referencing any other pending projects, such as the Kiowa, for example, which we talked about last week, you can see we have a stack of projects for 2024. We will also expect to see some more of the ongoing work that Nick Gray referenced in the video, such as game engine improvements and other gameplay enhancements. You saw the raindrops on the F-18 on the carrier there, which I haven't been able to recreate in game. I think that's new material. So 2024 could be a very, very productive year for ED in what we can regard as the post-COVID business environment, if they can manage all of the timing. I think this is a really intriguing video, as much as it is an exciting one, because it signposted, for me at least, a state of DCS, where the game is at right now. Now, prior to this, while all of this teasing was exciting and there were lots of things to look forward to and get excited about, there were limitations to some of what could be implemented because it was pre-multi-threading and pre-2.9. Now those things have been implemented, I feel the game is showing a little bit more clout in terms of what it can actually deliver as a platform, that I suspect will continue to drag in more players and, again, expand on the game's ability to produce content that is going to attract more players and maintain the player base that we have. Sure, there will be detractors and those looking for more effort in the bug fixing, and these aren't illegitimate concerns by any stretch, but I see a good deal of positivity right now in the immediate forecast and on the horizon. Well, I think that will do for this week. Thanks again for tuning in to the first SITREP for 2024. I've got some changes coming to the channel coming up here if time allows, so stay tuned for those things, and of course more content. Thanks for all the support, the likes, the subscriptions, and of course the discourse on the channel. Comment section below. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below, and we'll see you next time on the DCS SITREP. See ya.
Make 2, make 3, close button. 8, your discretion. Have a safe flight.